The year is just about over, and that means it's time to reflect on 2016's best. For PlayStation gamers, we could assume that would be talking about Uncharted 4, A Thief's End at year's end, so to speak. Fortunately, the game did not disappoint, and it was one of the best games of the year, not just on PS4, but on all platforms. But a year is a long time, and it leaves plenty of room for surprises and for skepticism to become excitement as games roll out and live up to their promise. While Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian are great games that were put into consideration, their late release had us move them off this list. Rest assured that their releases, especially after spending 10 years in development, are certainly big milestones, and we can surely celebrate that fact. But before we dive into the actual list, let's start with an honorable mention. MLB The Show continues to be one of the best sports games on the planet, and for baseball fans, it's the stuff of dreams. What MLB The Show 16 continues to provide is as great a baseball simulation that has ever lived. Road to the Show remains as authentic as ever as you work your way up from farmhand to all-star, carving out roles for yourself through the seasons. Darkest Dungeon's main hook was its combination of 2D dungeon exploration, turn-based combat, and insane difficulty. What made the game unique was that your characters would gradually lose their sanity over the course of a dungeon crawl, before inevitably reaching a breaking point. These breaking points could be anything from refusing to fight to gaining a defensive buff. There was no way to know for sure, as a lot of Darkest Dungeon systems revolve around RNG, but they work beautifully within the game's context. In this day and age where seemingly every creator is trying to reignite past glories, Doom is one of the very few that manages to make what worked then work now alongside modern game design. Doom didn't bother wasting your time with serious or dramatic storytelling, as you were literally handed a gun to shoot something in the face within the first 2 minutes of the game. Every encounter not only requires your pinpoint accuracy with a gun, but a sense of knowing how to navigate the environment without pausing to think about it. Hyper Light Drifter is almost like an homage to Zelda titles like Link's Awakening. It's a top-down action-adventure game with RPG character enhancement systems and relies heavily on players' skill to navigate its fierce battles. While this isn't a Souls-caliber challenging game, Hyper Light Drifter is no walk in the park. The game also takes aspects of Metroidvania design sensibilities, letting the player freely tackle any of its areas at any time. The art direction on Hyper Light Drifter is also some of the most stellar pixel art you'll ever see, as simple shading techniques bring forth the long-dormant hulking mechanical giants that once roamed the land. Overwatch is simply a masterclass in multiplayer level design, and a lot of that had to do with the fact that Blizzard went with a quality over quantity approach, and it paid off. Blizzard is known for supporting their games post-launch, and they have more than lived up to that reputation with game balance tweaks, new modes, and new characters. Overwatch is a character for nearly every conceivable playstyle, with some that blend over with each other. It's easy for anyone, veteran or beginner, to fall into a role they can feel comfortable with and set out on night-long binges or short play sessions and still feel like they got something out of it. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt was 2015's best game, and developer CD Projekt Red has continued to support the game via patches and 2 very meaty expansions, Hearts of Stone and this year's Blood and Wine. Blood and Wine is a larger game than many standard releases, clocking in at about 20 hours strictly on its main story. The expansion also brings with it a plethora of side quests which can easily add to that total. Some of the quests, including the ones with the statue castration and the banking bureaucracy, stand out as some of the most memorable of the entire series. Nathan Drake's final adventure showed us a different side of the swashbuckling treasure hunter as he attempts to earn an honest living in a more quiet and relaxed lifestyle. Obviously, quiet and relaxed is not Nate's style, and eventually he gets roped back in by his long-lost brother Sam. Uncharted 4 also brought together 2 of gaming's best voice actors, Nolan North and Troy Baker, and the result was one of the most engaging yet poignant interactions between 2 characters that we've ever seen. Yes, Inside is short, and yes, it may not encourage multiple playthroughs, but its pinpoint level design, tense chase sequences, and eerie atmosphere are unmatched by any game to come out in 2016. But no game has stuck out in our minds quite like Inside has since its credits rolled for the first time this past summer. The game was as authentic an evolution of its predecessor and one of the very few to top it. What do you think of our list? Did your favorite PS4 game make the cut, or does your list have some other standouts? Let us know in the comments below.